Now that's crazy, says Karen. I don't know. Well, I mean, Boots is copyrighted, isn't it? I mean, you can't open a shop that's called Boots, even if you're selling boots. You can't do that, can you? Probably not. You can't open a restaurant called McDonald's, even if your name is McDonald. So it's not completely insane, but that's the way the press made it sound. Yeah, of course, because everything she does is awful. Boo, Meghan Sparkles. Boo! Sue texts, you are the first presenter to nail the Brexit argument 6 years on, because the EU were about to clamp down on tax evasion by the super rich. Bingo. So the super rich who run this country had to come up with some way to persuade people that weren't remotely this sort of non-dom tax loophole thing wasn't ever going to affect, because they just don't have that much money. So they had to be brought on side somehow. How are you going to do it? They must have had focus groups. How are we going to do it? What will trigger them the most? Oh, I know. People with funny accents. Dinghy spotting. And we'll get you-know-who to stand in front of a poster of a mile-long people who are going to come over here and take your biscuits.
I'm a nutcase.
Yeah, and it worked. No problemo. It worked to such an extent that people, even now, are still saying that they knew what they were voting for and they got what they wanted. As they, try to find some crumbs of food that have fallen down the back of their sofa. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 11:30. The news headlines with Zora Sullivan.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
I am not one of your fans!
Pauline texts, I was a poor child. I am now a rich pensioner. I have always been a lefty. Don't pigeonhole us all. I am not sticking you in a pigeonhole, Pauline. I certainly would do nothing of the sort. And that does not disprove, your individual instance does not disprove a generalisation. That's what I'm doing. I'm making a generalisation. The older you are, the more likely you are to vote Conservative. That's just true. I'll say it again. I'll say it again for about the 1,000th time.
Oh, no.
If you take away the pensioner vote from the last general election and the EU referendum, we would still be in the European Union and Jeremy Corbyn would be our Prime Minister if you take away the pensioner vote. But thanks for going against the tide there, Pauline. Martin texts, this country has become a skipfire ever since David Bowie died.
Rock and roll!
Yes, that's right. Can you beg him to come back, says Martin. Yeah, thanks a lot, David Bowie. You couldn't have just hung on for, say, 5-10 more years? Look at the state you've left us in. I think that's, it's inconsiderate, is what it is. Bodmin. Hello, Malcolm.
Oh, Nick, how you doing, mate?
Yes, good, thanks.
Nick, I'm listening to you and I'm watching the press previews on BBC News and Sky.
Oh, yeah.
And they're showing the front pages and there's not a mention of Rishi Sunak anywhere.
Really?
It's all Boris.
Oh,
it's all
God.
Boris in Kiev. Do you think Boris went there to take the spotlight off Rishi Sunak? Any chance? What do you think?
Well, I'm not sure that Bodger actually has Fishy Sunak's best interests at heart. If he's doing a distraction routine, which I wouldn't doubt for a second, then it's to take our eye off his various travails.
Yeah, I think you're right. But seriously, though, there's barely a mention in the papers tomorrow of Rishi Sunak's travails.
Well, what other stories have they got?
It's all Kiev and Bodger.
There must be some other
Everywhere.
stories, surely.
No, that's it. I mean,
is it
you know,
really
there
Boris?
may be
Boris Johnson saves the world? Really?
Boris Johnson with the chickens. Boris Johnson. Yeah, that's it.
I must see that picture. I want to see a picture of
No,
Boris
it-
Johnson holding a chicken.
he looked, receiving it, he looks quite startled. But
Yeah.
then again, so does Volodymyr. This lady walks up to them with these two chickens and just hands them over.
Yeah, well, Vladimir Zelensky must have been somewhat surprised when Bodger Johnson hoved into view. He must have thought, who's this tramp?
Did he see it? Well, the video, if you watch the video, Boris gets a very long run-up before he gets to Volodymyr. He walks about 15 metres to get to him, all on camera.
Right. He's sort
So
of...
fair play, he's gone there, he was well received, and, you know, it's a positive thing, I think, his visit.
Right, well, okay then. Just wait till Vladimir Zelensky finds out how many rubles Boris Johnson's got carrying in those pockets in his jacket. I see the picture now. There he is with his chicken. It looks like he's broken it. Vladimir Zelensky, he's got a chicken, and Bodger Johnson's got a chicken. It looks like Bodger's broken his.
Well, Boris asks the lady who presents him, what is it for? Is it for water or wine?
Yeah.
And the lady, obviously, there was a bit of a language thing there. She didn't quite get it, but she picked him up somewhere in Poland, and it just happened to be on the street, I think, and she presented them.
Right. Well,
Very good, yeah.
Yeah. If I was a political leader and I was out of the blue given something on the streets near Russia, I don't think I'd touch it with a barge pole.
You could put the X-rayed, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Thanks a lot, Malcolm. 0345 6060 973. Dave tweets, I would prefer it if the booths at polling stations had curtains around them. I like to... No. Well, I guess it's not that rude. He says, I like to do... Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to read that. They used to have curtains. It looked like the worst made piece of furniture that you've ever seen in your life. Just some bit of old flotsam that had been nailed together by somebody who'd never seen a hammer before. And they used to have a nylon curtain that you could pull across behind you. Why? Why? You only put it across on a piece of paper. It's not a test. James says, how many refugees did Bozo bring back with him when he went to Ukraine to cash in on another photo opportunity? Yeah, well, it's interesting that there was 3 or more stories about refugees in the Mail today, and they were all as though this had come from a Tory central office, some way to excuse their miserable performance in this regard. It's not their fault, it's somebody else's fault. And there were 3 reasons, top 10 reasons, why it's not the government's fault that so few refugees have been accepted in from Ukraine. It had nothing to do with them, nothing to do with their inbred enmity towards anybody that speaks with a foreign accent, because that's what they think their fans want, for us to push them back out to sea, let them drown. That's their chief selling point at the next general election, a lack of foreigners. So it's got nothing to do with that. They're trying their very best. Ukrainians are being forced into homelessness as relationships with UK sponsors break down, and some female refugees seek new homes after being targeted for sex by their British hosts. Right, so that's why there's so few. I think they found one person that may apply to. One young woman was subjected to advances from a male host, and they managed to fashion an entire story around that. So that was reason number 1 why we have accepted an almost invisibly small number of Ukrainian refugees into this country, and why we're doing our very best, well, our government on our behalf is doing their very best to make it appear as though they're doing something without, actually doing something. And then there was this story. Ukrainian families fleeing war-ravaged cities have been denied sanctuary in Britain because of overzealous council inspectors. Oh, it's not the government, it's the council that's at fault. Local authorities checking homes of those wanting to host refugees have been accused of being like something out of Monty Python. An investigation found that some homes have been rejected as unsafe because of stairs designed without a banister, which I think is against planning regulations, isn't it? I don't think you can have a stair without a banister in this country. So it is, by definition, unsafe. And a 1-inch step deemed a trip hazard. Okay, well, I've got no idea, but they probably worked overtime to find the silliest reason that a council, brought up in order to say, don't blame the government. The government's trying its very best. You know Priti Patel, don't you? No! Yes, that's her. She's all heart. And then the third reason that they've come up with why it's not the government's fault is the Ukrainian mother and her 2 children trying to flee the war were prevented from flying to the UK after a Home Office official questioned the spelling of one of their names. And right enough, there are a lot of vowels in her name, but it's not really enough to say, no, you can't come in. So they really are peddling furiously in order to whitewash their reputation. How's it going so far?
Oh, fabulous.
James, no, read that. Sally says, I'm with you, Nick. People tell me to get a postal vote all the time, but although I'm 70 and disabled, I'm not ready to give up that little frisson I get when I place my vote. I don't know why, but I'd crawl through 3 feet of snow to do it and come out with a daft, smug look on my face. I just enjoy the experience because, you don't get to do it very often. And you go in, there's nobody ever there. And they, these eager, usually ladies, behind a trestle table, and they're just thrilled to see someone. It's like they've been there since 7 o'clock in the morning, and they haven't seen a single person yet. And I come round the corner, and it's like, oh, finally. And I take it very, very seriously. You take the piece of paper and you look at this massive long list and you think, oh no, I forgot to actually find out which person I'm supposed to be voting for. I forgot to do my research. And then you go through the whole thing and think, monster raving loony, is there a point? Like a protest vote? A greenie?
Yowza.
Maybe a greenie this time? Give it a lot of thought while I'm in the booth. And you should too. Absolutely no excuse. Not now, not ever, never. But I bet there's about 50... I bet at the next general election there'll be about 50% of the people that just can't be bothered. Oh, it's just like so boring. I don't want to. It's like windy out. They're all the same. Nothing ever changes. Those people. David tweets, no one seems to be asking this question. His wife is an Indian national loyal to the Indian government. She lives in number 11 and has possible access to state secrets, let alone kitchen table talk. Obviously a security risk. Hello, MI5. Hello, he says.
Hello.
Hello, says David. Yeah, well, I don't know anything about that. Don't ask me. What do I know? Richard texts, you see Bodger got presented with a China chicken teapot in the streets of Kiev today from a grateful citizen. What was all that about? That's a good question, Richard. What was all that about? That's going to be the topic from now till the end of time. What was that all about, Bodge? He has no idea.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Hello, number please. Trying to connect you. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Yes, I'm trying to connect a caller in Liverpool called Vincent. Vincent.
Hello, Nick. How are you, mate?
I am super. Thanks for asking.
You're okay. Mr. Sunak and his missus, the amount of money they've got, they shouldn't be able to make a decision in the world, should they, realistically?
It's very hard to hear what you're saying. Again, we're having phone problems.
Sorry, Nick. Can you hear me now?
A little bit.
I was just saying, Sunak and his missus, they shouldn't be allowed to make decisions ever.
What, on anything?
Should they, realistically, when you think about it, if she's going to pay some tax, my national insurance will go up, won't it?
Well, I don't know that the one is necessarily connected with the other. But if I'm going to drop that there, Vincent. Terrible, terrible phone, bad reception. You need to hang out the window the next time you make a phone call and thank me later. But always make sure that you're safe when you're doing it. But the thing with the tax avoidance by the super rich is that we, poor dopes who can't afford to pay tax, have to make up the difference. This is why it just blows my mind that so many poor people will defend to the hilt the right of the super rich to avoid paying the tax that they have to. The consequence of them not paying what a reasonable person in the street might call their fair share is that we have to make up the difference. But people seem to be perfectly okay with that. And they will call it, it's the politics of envy. I had that last night, really early on in the show. And I made a thing about it, so I didn't get it again. But I bet there's a significant number of people who are thinking that just now. Oh, you're just envious. It's not that. It's disapproval is what it is. Because all of the tax they don't pay, we either have to just put up with less from government and councils, the less improvement in our lives. It's less money to fix the potholes in the roads, less money for the NHS, less money for the police, the fire service, the security service, the military, absolutely everything that we rely on. There's less money for that unless we pick up the difference. I mean, there's no other way around it, is there? Money doesn't just magic itself out of thin air. I mean, I know that technically it actually does. All the Bank of England has to do is to just press a button, and there it is. Poof, as though by magic. But all of the tax that they avoid, the international super rich, we poor dopes who have the tax taken from our pay before we get it, we have to make that up or suffer the consequences. But, the international super rich, they're not going to rely on the NHS. Rishi Sunak and his wife, or anybody that they have ever met, is not going to be queuing for an appointment at the NHS, are they? Ever. Not now, not ever, never. So what do they care? They're probably not going to be using the police. I mean, apart from the 24-hour armed guard that follows them everywhere they go, paid for by us. All of this stuff needs paying for. And one of the reasons that we are such, so in want of these various services, that they've been run down so much, is because there's too little money being spent on them. And where does the money come from? That's us poor dopes who pay taxes. And we've got to make up the difference if those above us on the ladder refuse to do their bit. And it seems that the richer people are, the more they furiously attempt to avoid losing a penny of it. It's weird, that. I mean, I guess I don't understand because I'm not a billionaire. But if I was, I don't think I'd be so obsessed with not losing any of it. An amount of money in the bank that you would need 10 lifetimes to get through. Why are they so desperate to cling on to all of it? I don't get it. Anyway, in an unrelated story, Rishi Sunak's wife, Akshata Murthy, bowed to pressure to pay UK taxes. With the Sunak's position under increasing threat, Murthy said she realised that many people felt her tax arrangements were not compatible with her husband's job as Chancellor, adding that she appreciated the British sense of fairness. And I think we can all relate to that, because who hasn't decided to pay taxes that are due on what they earn in this country on the basis that avoiding them isn't compatible with their other half's job? Oh, that's right, we don't get to choose whether we pay taxes. Taxes are taken from our wage before we even get it. There is no choice. And that is because we were stupid enough not to have been born to a billionaire. We only have ourselves to blame. Mrs. Fishy will pay tax on all worldwide income in future, and for the last tax year, but not on backdated income, which could have saved her an estimated £20 million of UK tax on foreign earnings from her billionaire father's Indian IT company. So she's paying some tax, hypothetically, assuming that there are any earnings that are subject to tax in the future, but not on the actual money that she has come into in the past. Well, I certainly hope that there won't be any massive reduction in her income that might be subject to tax in the future, because that would be unexpected. So she's gracefully elected to pay what a normal person in the street would think of as being potentially aligned to what could be called her fair share. And that's an end to it, isn't it?
No.
No, you bet your life it's not. I wonder whether the rush to get us out of the European Union at all costs was in any way related to the Conservative Party's fervent desire to avoid any EU clampdown on non-dom status and tax avoidance and the regulatory havens of impenetrable darkness that are the British overseas territories. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that, Smug?
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
He doesn't know anything. He's claiming ignorance. I believe him. Well, ordinarily. But on this particular issue, I'm not so sure. Meanwhile, it appears as though the captain of our ship, the SS Britannia, wasn't even on board for a lot of the time that he was supposed to be our skipper. Fishy was forced to confirm that he had a US green card, meaning that he had declared himself a permanent US resident for tax purposes for 19 months while he was Chancellor, and for 6 years as an MP. What? 6 years. I mean, that's worse than working on an island tax haven against the interests of the government that you're supposed to be representing while voting on Parliament business by remote control. And that was perfectly legal as well, while earning £4 million doing it. It's almost as though the law is one of those fairground height signs that said you must be at least this rich to go on this ride. A source close to the couple also confirmed that his wife held the green card as well. Wow. I mean, the super rich, they don't appear to exist except as golden auras of loveliness and are just as hard to nail down. Holders of green cards, by the way, they're required to make a legal commitment to make the US their permanent home. And they held them while Rishi Sunak was an MP for, did I say 6 years? Something like that. 19 months while he was our Chancellor. The disclosure that they both had US green cards appears at odds with Sunak's defence of his wife being a non-dom. He said she intended to one day return to live in India. Maybe he misspoke. Maybe he meant Indiana. But it's worse than that, because just as Captain Fishy was hiking the taxes for us little people, not leprechauns, hiking it up to record levels to make up the gap in our finances that were caused by this government, the Treasury last week brought in a new low-tax scheme designed to benefit wealthy non-dom investors.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah. Did you know about that? The new laws specifically mention fund manager non-doms as a category of people who can benefit by not having to pay tax on foreign earnings through the new vehicles. What an incredible coincidence. I wonder if there's anyone in the regime that knows someone like that. A donor, perhaps. Or a close personal friend, maybe. Any thoughts, Bodger?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
He's thinking about it. Meanwhile, Bodge is on manoeuvres because, he can only say Sue Gray so many times to deflect questions about his incessant partying while his citizens were dying. And in a press conference on Friday, Bodger admitted that he had not been told about Murty's non-dom status, but he denied anyone at Number 10 was briefing against the Sunaks. He praised the Chancellor for doing an outstanding job, which in political speak means that he's probably out in the next reshuffle. Unless he's got the keys to the skeleton cupboard, in which case he'll be in the House of Lords instead, literally lording it over us for life. That's how it works, isn't it, Gavin? I believe it is. Downing Street insiders revealed that an away day last week descended into acrimony between Number 10 and Number 11 aides over the source of the Murty leak and long-standing tensions over the Partygate scandal. Acrimony between aides. Can these people hear themselves? My people are very cross with your people. I'm going to have to send them a memo.
Oh, no.
Tory MPs believed it was possible that Bodger could seek to move Fishy from the Treasury in a summer or autumn reshuffle if he survives the current crisis threatening his chancellorship. And if Boris Johnson survives that long, he will have about as much authority to sack anyone as the Downing Street cat. God, what a shower. And it just goes on and on and on. No wonder Bodger skipped the country. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. And I refer you to the question I asked some moments ago, or that was posed by Richard. You saw Bojo got presented with a China chicken teapot in the streets of Kiev from a grateful citizen. What was that all about? Excellent question. Nobody has any idea. Least of all, Bodger himself, who appeared, from the photograph that I saw, it appeared as though he'd broken it almost the moment that somebody gave it to him. That sounds like him, don't it? 0345 6060 973, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Okie dokie.
What we got here is a failure to communicate.
Yeah, it's a living. 0345 6060 973. Chris texts. No, I haven't read this one. He says, Bodger's trip to Kiev was great PR for the government, but I don't think it was as risky as they portray. Our Secret Service has a word with the Russians. Bodger gets to visit, and no one starts World War III. It's less smoke and mirrors, more steam and windows. Steam and windows. I wouldn't be remotely surprised if calls had gone in to Vlad. I mean, Bodger's probably got him on speed dial. And to say, we're going to be over here for a while, so, best not bomb where we're going to be going. Otherwise, it'd be very, very embarrassing. We might not be able to talk our way out of that one. Les text, I think the Beckham child wanted a wedding just like Meghan. Oh, Struth, if I see one more story about the Beckham family, I think I'm going to vom. That's not an offensive thing to say, is it?
No.
No, it's reasonable. It's just reasonable. St Ives. Hello, Brenda.
Hello, Nick.
Brenda.
Hi. Did I hear you just say that they've brought in a new rule to lower the taxes for these non-dom elites?
Yes, they do. Yes, they did. Mm-hmm.
When did they do that?
One moment, please. I think it just happened.
What exactly?
Just now.
This is excruciating, Nick. I feel physically sick.
Right.
And the other thing, I wanted to ask, why isn't it that the Labour and Greens and the Lib Dems can't force the government to bring in this windfall tax on the energy companies?
Because, Brenda, people in the north, the red wall seats, they gave the Tories a stonking majority, and now they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, but if the three parties got together, surely they would have a majority, because they're all in favour. Certainly the Lib Dems and the Labour Party are of this windfall tax.
Well, there wouldn't be a majority because the Tories have the majority. So, like I said, they are now our rulers, quite potentially forever.
Well, why couldn't it even be tried? I mean, I just can't believe Labour. We're just not going anywhere. The only MP, well, the three Labour MPs are Jeff Phillips, Angela Rayner, and Zara Sultana of Coventry. She's absolutely brilliant. And so that's that. But I think they should send the bailiffs round to Rishi Sunak and sort that out.
Right.
And also, I would suggest that everybody claims back money from these energy companies, which I am doing. There's a way of doing it.
How do you mean? Wait, back up. You claim money back? How? What do you mean? Claim it back for what?
For the payments I've made for my energy under an indemnity clause. I know several people have done it, and I'm doing it. And
What's an indemnity clause?
It's all about the fact that we've never signed a contract, and if we haven't got a contract, we have no obligation to pay that, to pay that, and I've claimed back several months from my energy company.
Are you saying that you didn't sign a contract because you were given your new energy company because your last one went bust? Is that what you mean?
No, I didn't sign a contract ever. I contacted my company, never signed a contract. They told me the tariff and instantly set up my direct debit, which has changed over the last year 4 times.
Yeah,
the amount.
No doubt.
So I'm claiming that money back on that premise that I was never told that there's no contract to say that they would do that.
Right, but when you say you're claiming it back, do you mean to say that you've done it successfully, or this is a plan for the future?
I know of 3 people that have done it successfully.
Right.
Mine's going in the post next week.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, Brenda.
Well, it works. It works.
Well, I'm not expecting it to, but...
Well, I can assure you, there's somebody that I know that goes around the country doing presentations with this, and she's actually claimed back a total of £1 million.
Wow.
To several hundred people on council tax, energy bills, and water bills.
Well, that sounds like a sensational idea there, Brenda. Promise me you'll tell me how it went.
I will.
All right. Okay.
I will.
Good to talk to you. Thanks a lot, Brenda. There you are, you see. I would bet the money that Brenda is going to ask for back that it doesn't work. But, if you don't try, you don't get. No, that's the Beckham child. Laura texts, every time I see a coat stand, I now think of Smug. Yes. He's like a ghost, to me, a ghostly hat stand.
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
That's what he looks like to me, a ghostly hat stand. Pete tweets, having a green card means you're a legal resident of the US and the card is good for 10 years. Green cards might or might not be renewed at the end of that 10 years. Does it mean you're a citizen? A legal resident, right, perhaps. Or you make it your best effort to become a resident, I think, something like that. I can't remember what the exact wordage is. And furthermore, I don't care. Arjun says, I'm used to listening to you on catch-up on 1.5 times speed. So listening to you live makes it seem like you're very slow. Huh. Well, that doesn't sound like... Why would you do that? I mean, I know you would get through it more quickly, but can you not just listen to less of it at the right speed? That would seem like it would ruin it to me at 1.5 times speed. Plus, I would sound like Pinky or Perky. Which do I sound like, Arjun? Pinky or Perky? He's thinking. Let's have Broadstairs. Phil.
Hi there. Yeah, I'm going to speak a bit faster so that I can get through more of it. So I hope that's all right with you.
Well, think of Arjun, by the way, because he's listening to us at 1.5 times speed. So you're going to sound like you're being played at 78.
Oh, gosh. Well, all right, I'll slow down. The Grand National's over. Anyway, when I was a student, it was neither Washington nor Moscow, Nick. And I'm very concerned that there are 2 agents now in the cabinet. One is working for the Russians and one is clearly working for the Americans. And I think they should have, forsworn these choices when they got into office, because it's clear that if Rishi Sunak had this green card, and he had it up to, I think, 19 months after he was made Chancellor, then he was negotiating a trade deal while declaring secretly his taxes in America.
Well, we don't actually know that he did that. I mean, we don't know for sure.
Well, if you read Dan Hodges, who I don't read very often, but I did on this occasion, he seems to think that's the big one coming down the track.
Well, it occurred to me that if you are in possession of a green card, then you have to pay taxes in the US. Now, even if he did, what that means is that we, poor dopes who pay taxes, were paying for his salary, and he paid tax on the salary that we paid for in another country.
Well, precisely, but in whose interests is he actually working? Because the end product of Sushi Rishi's things seems to be that it's his career that's the thing that matters.
Yeah,
he sorted out his wife's thing. He even finds drop 100k into Winchester College, probably as a charitable gesture, when he's cutting per student money in the state sector back to 2010.
Yeah,
who's interested?
Right, exactly right. The schools need 15 billion, and the government offered them 1.5. So there you go. Now shut up.
Well, 100,000 per student at Winchester College will get you some of the way there. But I mean, it's really clear to me that he's operating a totally, well, probably like, as you suggested, all of them with regard to the European Union and the bank, charging, that he's operating something which is totally geared to enriching himself. So if it comes to the crunch when he has to go, he leaves the place in the same state as Osborne did after his bit of austerity. And we'll be going, who was that masked man anyway?
It's not a government, it's a smash and grab raid. It seems with every single thing they do, that seems to underline itself to me more and more.
Well, the Lone Ranger isn't coming over any hill very soon, I don't think.
Most certainly is not. All right, thanks a lot, Phil. 0345 6060 973. There you are, Arjun. Could you understand a word that bloke was saying? Talking very, very fast. Devlin tweets, I'm sorry for any upsetting images that this may conjure before bed, but Eric Pickles once claimed £10,000 for biscuits on his expenses. That's almost certainly not true. I mean, I'm not suggesting that Eric Pickles hasn't eaten £10,000 worth of biscuits. I just doubt that he actually... No, wait a minute. Is it actually true?
Yeah, it's in the Independent.
Oh, my God.
£10,000. His department spent £10,000 on biscuits, but he defended it.
No, so he didn't personally eat them, or do we know that?
Well, I think he had a couple of jammy dodgers.
Yeah, no doubt. From the Independent, the Conservative MP Eric Pickles. How weird that he should be named after a food item. The Conservative MP Eric Pickles has launched a staunch defence of his government department after it was claimed he spent an extra £10,000 in one year on biscuits. That was from 2013. Well, he does look like a sort of fellow who likes a biscuit. Or 10,000. 0345 6060 973. Text 84. I can't get. Whenever I see him, I just remember what Jeremy Clarkson did on his on Top Gear. He held up his thumb to the camera. You might like to do this at home, if you want to, play with Eric Pickles. Held up his thumb to the camera, and then with a biro, just put two dots on it on a sort of a horizontal line, and there you are. That's Eric Pickles. I'm holding my thumb up that I have just dotted to the microphone. Does that work?
No.
Not really, but I'm doing it anyway. The fun that you can have on your own with a biro. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Nick Abbott on LBC.
Shut up.
I can't. 0345 6060 973. Steve says there's an easy way to remember the key Tories in the news these days. Dominic Cummings equals Dom. Nadine Dorris equals Dim. Dominic Raab equals Dim Dom. And Akshata Murty equals Non-Dom. Good one, Steve. So that's Dom, Dim, Dim Dom and Non-Dom. Keep that in mind. Let's have, let me see, one moment, please. Is this mouse noisy enough? A little bit noisy, yeah. Chislehurst. Hello, Ross.
Yo, Nick. Yeah, it's pretty clear that it seems obvious that Bojo has conspired to get Rishi out while he's in Kiev saving the day.
You think?
It seems like payback. Yeah, I think it's to put him in the House of Lords with Gavin Williamson. And it seems like just at this point, the Conservative Party is just there to put ministers into the House of Lords.
Ministers, donors, mates, friends, various incompetents. Yeah, the entire House should be closed down. Every single one of them should be fired, and we start again with elected representatives.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I don't know, though. Maybe we should just let the House of Lords run things, let the Americans get as many people as they can in there. I mean, I'm partial to that idea, given my accent. Right. But at the same time, maybe it's not so great. I don't know. I think. Am I talking slowly enough for Arjun?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, a little bit too slowly for me, but just right for him. Yeah, he's listening to you at 1.5 times normal speed.
Yeah, Nick, I don't know. What is this? So what does this even mean with this with Rishi's wife? I don't understand.
Well, which bit are you confused about?
Well, the whole thing. What is it? What's the problem? I don't understand. She lives in India and she's paying taxes in the UK, right?
Yeah, almost completely the opposite of everything that you just said. But please try and pay attention going forward, Ross, as they say in meetings. We're going to run it up the flag going forwards. I don't go to many meetings. That's probably not what they say, but it's more or less there or thereabouts. The outcry, Ross, over Sunak's lack of transparency about his family's financial affairs ain't going anywhere anytime soon without some major distraction. So I would expect we'll be invading France within the week, unless we peasants stop questioning the regime. Because while Fish's wife says that she will pay all the tax that is legally due in every jurisdiction in which they are applicable, she will apparently retain her non-dom status. So I read in one of the newspapers today, which could in future allow her family to legally avoid an inheritance tax bill of more than £275 million.
What?
£275 million. And by the way in which the statement is put isn't going to win her any fans, because she put out a statement. In her statement, Fish's wife said she did not want her non-dom status to be a distraction for her husband. Quotes, "For this reason, I will no longer be claiming the remittance basis for tax. This means I will now pay UK tax on an arising basis on all my worldwide income, including dividends and capital gains, wherever in the world that income arises. I do this because I want to, not because the rules require me to." Well, guess what? This will amaze you, Mrs. Fishy. Ordinary people who didn't get born to billionaires have the tax taken from their pay before they get it. Yeah, I know. Crazy, eh? There is no decision to make. There is no choice. It's just removed from our pay before we get any of it. That's how poor people get their children educated. Tax. And how poor people get their healthcare provided. And how we all, even billionaires, benefit from streetlights and the police keeping order, and the fire service putting out the fires, and the roads being built and repaired. And it keeps the meagre social security safety net for when disaster strikes in place. Everything that the little people pay taxes for, that makes the country work and the world go round. But please, tell us again about how generous you're being because you want to, not because the rules require you to. Have I taken a break yet?
No.
Really?
Oh, I don't know.
Aren't you in charge? How would I find out? I thought I had. I've been yakking away for quite a while if I haven't. Spot block Phil 150, and then Clive Ball. So, no, that's the after the news thing. And then Clive's at 45. So I have done it. See? Not completely stupid. That's right, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's about as much of an apology as I'll get.
I am very sorry that I screwed up. Totally I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am. I'm sorry.
He's sorry. 0345 6060 973. Mark texts that maybe the reason the cops closed off all of London is because they're holding their annual skateboarding championships on Westminster Bridge. Well, they're certainly doing something on Westminster Bridge. I've got no idea what it is, but they've closed the entire thing. And every other road that leads to it and away from it, and every single road within about a mile's radius. I don't know whether people are still stuck in that traffic jam. The traffic jam that I was stuck in, it was covering pretty much the whole of London earlier on. It took forever, to the point that I really did think I'm just going to have to dump my car. I'll park it on the pavement, and maybe it'll still be there when I get back. But I didn't, because I'm a good boy, I am. Let's have Belsize Park. Faisal.
Nick.
Yes, sir.
Last time I spoke to you, you laughed at me when I mentioned there's going to be a rain in one month's worth of rain in one day. And then a few weeks later, you were sounding shocked. But anyway, that's why I didn't call you so since then. But the reason why I'm calling is because you keep asking, why do the rich people not want to pay any tax? Well, it's really simple. The reason why they don't pay any tax is because they don't want to pay tax, because they can, but they don't want to, but it's because they earn their income not from working like you and me and the rest of the UK citizens. They earn their income from the appreciation of their assets. Exactly.
Assets, yeah.
And but I'll give you an example.
That's why capital gains is taxed much, much lower than income. That's because that's how the rich make their money.
Exactly, and that's why the House of Lords exists. The House of Lords exists to stop people like you and me voting the wrong way, and then the government decides to change the laws to tax the rich. Then the House of Lords will say no.
Yeah, but this is yes, Faisal, but this is how they're doing it. This is not why they're doing it. What I can't quite understand is, I mean, if you've got £1 billion in the bank, that is more money than you could ever spend, like reasonably, and unless you go out on a yacht buying frenzy. So why, the more money you have, does it seem that almost all of your time is taken up by trying not to pay any tax? You could easily pay tax. You wouldn't notice the amount of tax that you would pay on your income or your the appreciation of your assets if you've got £1 billion in the bank. But it seems to me the only thing that they obsess about is keeping absolutely all of it. I don't get it.
Also, you can imagine from their perspective, you know, they're sending their kids to private schools. They're going to private medical services.
Yeah.
As far as they're concerned, the poor people need to pay for themselves.
Right.
And then they can pay for themselves. But it's all gone wrong nowadays.
I sort of understand that. I mean, I can get that being, you know, just the incredibly selfish part about not wanting to give any money to those more unfortunate than you. I get that. You know, that's the sort of nasty side of human beings. But what I really cannot quite fathom is why they are so determined to keep every single penny of what they've got. Because, I mean, there is that old phrase, you know, money doesn't bring you happiness. Well, they don't seem to be very happy, do they? I mean, and they seem to be so determined. It's the most important thing to them to keep the thing that's not making them very happy. I mean, look at Roman Abramovich, for instance. How many times have you seen him smile, let alone laugh? I mean, he looks like the most miserable person on earth. He's also one of the richest.
It's the power. The money brings the power. Because if you have money, you can, you know, lobby ministers in Parliament to do your bidding for you.
You can do anything you want.
You can meet the Prince Charles. You can get what do they call it? The lordship. You can become a lord. If you pay enough money, it's power. It's power. The more money they have, the more power they have over the little people.
Yeah, but after you've got but after you've got £100 million, for instance, I mean that's a decent chunk, isn't it? Then why keep obsessing about more and more and more and more and more? Because you can't spend £100 million, not reasonably. I mean, how many houses do you need? How many planes do you need at your disposal? How many boats? You got 100 million, just relax, enjoy it. But they don't. They just seem obsessed with getting more and keeping everything that they get. Maybe the reason I don't understand it is because I'm not a billionaire. I'll let you know when I am. If I've got to go, but thanks, mate. 0345 6060 973. Mike texts, the fact a dentist won the National is just more evidence that they are continuing to take us all for a ride. I'm fed up with them ripping us off. Yeah, that whole dentistry thing, that does seem like a bit of a racket, don't it? Rob, because, you know, what are you going to do when a dentist tells you need this and you need that, you need this filled and that got to get taken out and I've got to put a cap on that. And what are you going to say? No, I don't think so. You just say, yeah, okay then. Rob texts, it's not about the tax that has or has not been paid. It's about the commitment to this country. If Fishy and his wife regarded themselves as citizens of other countries, how much do they care about the UK? And Kenny says, you were lucky being stuck in traffic. They were stuck to the road. Oh, you're talking about the Extinction Rebellion people. Well, they didn't glue themselves to the road yesterday, did they? I really am still stunned. This is me being stunned at the police action last night. Well, this night, earlier on. I have never seen London's roads so clogged in all my life. It was like they were making it impossible for anybody to get anywhere. Either it was absolute, total and utter incompetence because there weren't that many people out. I mean, the crowds weren't such that you needed to close off roads. They just wasn't the case. So the only thing I can come up with, and I know I've said this already, is that the authorities were trying to make the public really annoyed with the Extinction Rebellion people. That's the only thing I can come up with. Either that or it's just massive incompetence. Select 0345 6060 973. It's 12:30 on LBC. The news headlines with Zora Solomon.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
This is absolute tosh.
Thanks, Nige. You're the best. 0345 6060 973. Oh, by the way, did you see that picture that was in the papers? Talk about the axis of evil. Good grief. Mike, no, I've read that one. Have I read the one from Rob? Yes. Well, at least in my mind. I don't know whether I've said it out loud. Kenny says, oh no, I've read that one too. Wow, I am doing very well. Way ahead of schedule. Isle of Wight. Hello, Billy.
Hello, Nick. How are you doing?
I am great, mate.
Good. No, good. It's lovely to talk to you. You're my weekly dose of sanity, Nick. That's what you are.
Right. Well, that sounds alarming.
Do you suggest any medicaments, maybe?
Booze usually works for me.
Oh, that podcast is great. I've not listened to the latest one, but I try and listen to as many as I can. And they are right. I would laugh. Carol McGiffin is great.
Oh, right.
Nick, I want to talk to...
Yes.
You know what? My mum's absolutely going to love that. If she's listening now, because I spoke to her about your town.
Oh, Billy, your phone is not working. Have you got?
Is it not working?
Well, I don't know. You're using some sort of clip-on mic or something.
No, I'm using a mobile phone. That's not good.
Okay, it's terrible. You got a landline?
I suppose I'll call back on the landline.
I don't know. We'll try and call you back on a landline or something. But that's absolutely painful. Oh my God! How long does it take for somebody to invent a phone that you can use as a phone? For crying out loud, why? Why does it take so long? I mean, how long have we had mobile phones? Absolutely blooming ages. Plenty enough time for them to figure out a way of making it usable as a phone. I mean, they can do everything else. They can locate Neptune in the sky. Better than that, they can locate Neptune even if it's underneath the Earth from where you're standing. Isn't that incredible? You can point your phone in the sky, and if Neptune's not up there, you just keep waving it around, and it might be right underneath where you're standing, through the planet and out the other side, for millions of miles, and your phone can tell you where it is. Or at least, I assume that it's telling you where it is. I mean, I'm not checking that it's right, but I'm just guessing that it is. You can point it at a plane in the sky, and it can tell you where that plane has come from and where it's going to. Amazing. Can it be used as a phone?
No.
Not really. Not yet. They're working on it. But, you know, if you only spend £1,200 on a phone, you shouldn't really expect it to work as a phone. Chessington, hello, Bill.
Good evening, Nick.
Bill.
You're on fire today, mate.
Thanks.
You are, mate. Anyway, the point is, I was listening to what you were saying, and then the old memory started to work. And I remember Cameron saying, remember his old saying, oh, we're all in it together?
Yeah. he was a funny chap, wasn't he?
I think this is nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had his day as well, didn't he? So there you go.
We're still not missing you, Dave, but we know where to find you if we do. You'll be in the shed where they keep the tools.
Exactly, mate. So everything you're saying, I agree with.
Everything?
Why not? Because you ain't been wrong yet, have you?
Well, that's a good point there, Bill.
There you go.
You must pay more attention in future, but thanks for the unsolicited testimonial. Cheers, Bill. 0345 6060 973. Could we not get that bloke on a proper line?
Don't have a landline.
Oh, he doesn't have a landline. Yeah, that's the thing, is I don't have a landline either. Well, I actually do, but I don't know what the number is. I mean, the landline just comes with your broadband, right? But I've never used it, not once. I have got absolutely no idea what the number is. It's not even, I didn't even have a phone connected to it. But the thing is, we've ditched them too quickly because mobile phones are rubbish as phones. Landlines, on the other hand, are perfect. I could get a landline call from somebody in Australia. I could get, well, I was going to say a landline call from somebody in the International Space Station, but that's very unlikely. That almost certainly could not possibly be true that they have a landline connected to the International Space Station. But the furthest away you can go is Australia, right? Or New Zealand, somewhere like that. And I could get a landline call from somebody in that place, and it would sound like they're actually talking to me in the studio. It would be perfect. But to take a mobile call from somebody who's outside this building, I wouldn't be able to hear a single word they say. So we've ditched the landline too quickly, people. That, and also your brain gets irradiated when you're talking on a phone. Mo says, so the Labour and Liberals have admitted that they can never win on merit, only by cheating and rigging the votes. No, Mo. The Conservative Party appear to me anyway, to be cheating and rigging the votes by pretending that they're fixing this ID problem, which is a problem that does not exist. They're they're desperately trying to bring in photo ID, which is what the Republicans do in America, in order to suppress the voters who might not vote Republican, and ditto here. And if there's always going to be just one major right-wing party and a rainbow coalition of left-wing parties, then the left wing will always lose. The majority of the people in this country do not vote Tory, and yet time after time after time they have to suffer through another Conservative government because the left-wing vote is split. So it makes complete sense to do each other a favour. And why shouldn't this country be run by a coalition? Most of the other countries in Europe, which are full of happier people than we are run by coalitions. In fact, it's hard to think of a country that you could pinpoint on a map that is not run by a coalition. I mean, Russia isn't run by a coalition. How's that doing?
Oh, fabulous.
Exactly. Highgate. Hello, Claire.
Yeah?
Claire.
Oh, hello, Nick. Hi. Hello, Nick. I'm ringing up again to mark your homework. The phones,
yes.
The mobile phones. Mm-hmm. It's not the phones, Nick. It's the masts. It's all the phone masts which break, and then the companies don't fix them, and some of them are shared between various networks, so they've got to work out who does what. So it's always the masts. The phones are fine.
Really?
Yeah. And if you go into places like the city, and you use Google Maps to walk your way from the tube to somewhere, and then you're sent up completely the wrong street,
right.
Which happened to me.
Yes.
That's because the buildings, the very, very tall buildings up in the city, are obscuring the signal from the masts, and it gets all confused, and Google Maps goes mad.
Yes, that's right. Well, now, is it the masts that you're running the map off, or isn't it satellites?
Well, the satellites interact with the masts, and your phone interacts with the... Oh, God, that's asked me a question. I don't know. Well, it's the masts. It's the phone masts, because that's what the whole system runs on. And the phone masts, I suppose, are picking up the satellite signals.
I'm not sure about that. Well, the phone masts are picking up the satellite signals. You're not picking up the satellite signals on your phone. Is that right?
I don't know. You've got me there. I don't know. But all I know is it's the masts that are the key part. Because if you're in a place like where I am, sometimes if you use one network, it works fantastically.
Yeah.
And then if you try a different network, then it's awful. And you ring up the company and they say, one of the masts has gone down in that area. And we're fixing it, they say.
Sure they are, yeah.
Yeah, and then a year later you ring up again.
That is very, very annoying, though. That phenomenon that you just described about not being able to find your way around a city because of the tall buildings. It's absolutely infuriating because you'll walk and walk and walk in one direction, and your position on the map on your phone hasn't changed. And so you find yourself walking about half a mile, and then it finally catches up with you and tells you you've just been walking in the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's right. Or it never catches up with you, and you finally ask a human being, and they said, "Oh no, Moorgate's down that way."
That's right. Ask a human being. Correct. Like the good old days. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thanks a lot, Claire. There you are. You see, I could hear absolutely every word that she just said.
Correct.
Every single word. And I don't think she was talking to me on a landline either. So it's just the luck of the draw. So, somebody's bound to know. So is your phone actually picking up a signal from the satellite when you're looking at maps? Because it seems unlikely that it would be, triangulating your position from phone masts? Does it do that? Maybe we'll never know. I bet the internet knows. Ricky tweets, can it get any better? The last Chancellor, Sav the Man, you're talking about Super Sajman Jav. Sajman Jav was a non-dom as well. Makes you wonder if anyone in government is paying taxes. Sajman Jav was a non-dom, was he? Oh, my God. Is anyone in government paying taxes? Does anyone in government actually know what taxes are? Other than something that the little people are concerned with. Motex, so the Labour and the Liberals have admitted that they can... No, I've read that. You were wrong first time, Mo, and you're wrong the second time as well. What would be wrong with the Rainbow Coalition? Rainbow Coalition of interested parties working for the benefit of the people, rather than a political party full of exactly the same people who seem to be working for, I don't know, whoever's got the most money, whoever donates the most. I mean, that is the suspicion, isn't it? 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Come on, we're running late!
Jay texts, Fishy's missus is only paying tax so she can make Fishy look good to the public as he plots to take Bojo's residency. Rishi Fishy is never going to be the Prime Minister. It's a no from me.
No.
Yeah, I think it's a no from most. Not now, not ever, never. I don't know why he would be fighting so hard to do it. What's he doing that job for anyway? I mean, we know that he's not doing it to help people, is he? He's not the Chancellor of the Exchequer in order to make people's lives easier, because he's made all of our lives much, much more difficult. I mean, even compared to, you don't necessarily have to compare him to the last Chancellor or the one before that or the one before that. Just compare him to Chancellors in other countries in Europe, all of whom appear to be helping their citizens more than he is. So he's not doing the job to help people. So what's he doing it for? Curious, isn't it? I mean, he's not doing it for the money, unless he is. Why would he be so desperate to keep that job and to get another one that's so lowly paid he could give his he could throw the money that he earns away and not even notice it? I mean, his wife got paid £11.6 million last year, and he didn't even know about it. Apparently. Perhaps I have that wrong, but I think that's how it worked out. So why is he doing that job? I mean, all the grief that you get from it. What's the upside for him? I wonder. Like, I'm curious, aren't you? Must be some upside. Must be huge. Maybe it's the pleasure of being unpleasant to withhold help from those who need it most. Maybe just gets a kick out of it. Janet texts, why do you drive in and out? The other Nick has a chauffeured car to take him in and out. What's the difference? What, between me and Nick Ferrari? Well, Janet, Nick Ferrari has his name on the outside of the building. He is a billboard name, whereas I'm also featuring. Phil tweets, is there anyone left in cabinet whose position is not untenable, whatever difference that makes? Yeah, I don't think so. A reasonable person might think no. Malvern. Judy.
Nick.
Hey, what's the water like in Malvern, Judy?
Oh, disgusting. Don't try it.
Come off it. It must be lovely. The water out your tap must be nice, no?
Oh, no, the water from my tap is fine.
Yeah, that's
actually.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, it's not bad, except when it floods, then it's iffy.
Yeah, don't drink the flood water.
But you see, that's the useful thing. The only useful thing about a landline phone, which is why I keep one, although I never answer it, is that in a flood situation, when the electricity goes off, the landline still works.
Still works, right.
I mean, obviously, nobody will come because you're flooded and they'll just say, I'm sorry, but we can't get there. But, it's the thought, isn't it?
Yeah, you could always just dial up Tim just to hear another human being's voice.
Does that still work?
I have no idea.
It costs £1 a minute.
Yeah, anybody under the age of 60 will be going, Tim who?
Yeah. Yes. So, is that something to do with Wimbledon? Yeah. Come on, Tim.
Come on, Timmy. Yeah.
Come on. Oh, bless. I speak to people, sometimes in Africa, as I want to do, and I have a video call with them, and they're driving a car, and they say, I won't be a minute, Judy, I'm still just driving my car in Kenya.
While they're on a video call
on their
with you.
mobile phone.
Blimey.
I mean, you see, it is actually because, we started too early. As a result, we've got all these copper wires everywhere.
You know what? Yeah, you never want to be first in any sort of revolution because every other country will learn from your mistakes and then step nimbly over you and run past.
You see, you've nailed it. There you go again. See, you are on form tonight, I must say.
That's why when we had the Industrial Revolution, we made all the mistakes first off. We invented all the stuff and made all the mistakes. And then the rest of the world was just pondering and looking at us, falling on our face a lot, and then took all of our ideas and then sped past us.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Although, actually, there is just one way to all your millions of listeners. Probably in this country, I know there's hundreds of them outside this country, but if you were to get, and I'm not going to say the name, but there are 2 mobile phone services that will link your phone with the Wi-Fi. So in the actual fact, you're getting Wi-Fi calling. Because that's why now I'm able to speak to you. Well, were I to go just outside the door and to my car, there would be nothing.
Are you telling me that the instrument that you are addressing me on at this moment is not a landline?
No, it's not a landline.
Wow.
It's a Wi-Fi assisted mobile phone. You'll have to look it up.
I
to find out which ones do it. I know you won't do it.
Nothing of the sort.
Obviously, I knew you'd say that, but I just love hearing you say it.
Judy, I managed to hear every single word that you just said. Can you imagine if this show was Wi-Fi assisted? How fantastic it would be then. Then we'd really be getting somewhere.
Yeah, but then we'd be able to hear everybody, and would you really want that?
No, not really.
No, there you go then.
Not the standard
Cheerio,
of course.
darling.
Not the standard of course that I get on this show. No, not every word. No. Thanks a lot, Judy. And text, go on, Boris. Show us you've really got guts. Go and visit that chinless monster in Moscow. Charm him, I dare you. There you are. You see, Bodge, you've been dared by Annie.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Go on, do it. Phil tweets, is there anyone... Oh, no, I've read that. I read the one from Janet. Why do you drive in and out? The other Nick has got a chauffeured car to take him in and out. What's the difference? He's a marquee name, Janet. He's a dentist on a horse. I'm an also-ran. A dentist on a horse. Dave tweets, it's a combination of satellites locating you and the masts supplying the data to show you the map. Tall buildings block the satellite part, not the data part. So it's a combination of satellites locating me and the masts supplying the data to show you the map. Well, that just sounds too complicated, Dave. Are you sure that those people know what they're doing? Jason says, I want a kitten. A kitten. Where do you recommend I go? I don't know. There must be a 24-hour Cats R Us near you, Jason. Hassad tweets, Fishy has a green card. Alexander Boris DeFeffel Johnson has a US citizenship, being born in New York. Immigrants are taking over our jobs. That's apparently what people voted for. It's what I heard. Laura texts, correction, not typing, scrolling. Scrolling is our favourite pastime. You can call it anything you like, Laura. You're bashing away at a keyboard. It's typing. I maintain that you would have got some pretty bizarre looks if 20 years ago you had predicted that the kids' number one favourite thing to do in the future would be typing. But you just can't get them off their phones. Try taking a kid's phone away and their pet away and see which one they whine about the most. Shocking, isn't it? Something bad has happened to the human race. I think that the entire human race has taken a wrong turn somewhere. And I think, as a person that messaged me some while ago pointed out quite correctly, it's all David Bowie's fault.
Rock and roll!
Thanks a lot, David Bowie. You couldn't have just hung on for another decade or so. See what you've done? The entire world flipped upside down when David Bowie died. Kate texts, would Bojo actually recognise a chicken that hasn't been deep fried? Well, that's just offensive. But a good point, Kate. And Pete tweets, what do you think of the new Pink Floyd single? Well, I've heard it 1 and a bit times. And I have two thoughts. First, I thought it was pretty good. Second, I thought Dave Gilmour's guitar is too high in the mix. It's just like twice as loud as anything else in that song, unnecessarily so. Just bury it a bit more in the mix. I mean, I love your work, Dave Gilmour, but you don't have to stand out quite that much. Not necessary. There you are, Pete. I bet that's a more comprehensive answer than you were expecting. Mandy texts, can't we have a revolution, Nick? Well, Mandy, you say you want a revolution, but, everybody sing. How many more of these I've got? I might, whisper it softly, I might just be able to read all of them before I go. Wow. Then I'll have really got somewhere. Lawrence says, say what you will about the Conservatives, but they are the best friends you could possibly ever have. Forget bath bombs as birthday gifts. Get £350,000 instead. That seems like a number that's familiar, but why is it familiar? Why is that number familiar?
It was on the side of the bus.
Oh. Yeah, I heard that that 350 million that we were promised on the side of the bus, I heard that the Conservatives have already given that to the NHS. Liar! Yeah, I heard that over and over again. Like a memo went round, and they all had to come out and say the same untruth over and over again. We've got that money, liar! They said. Have they no shame?
No.
No, I think it's a requirement for the job. Gary texts, Sunak's green card makes his meeting with the US healthcare providers in December last year even more sinister. Some might consider it unpatriotic and a potentially hostile act against the country and the people that he represents / serves. Nick tweets, now that Sunak is out of the way, Sajman Jav is going back to the role that Boris gave when the Vote Leave government was formed before Sajman left the role overcoming. Oh, God. Are you confused yet? You will be. New Chancellor by Monday to protect their wealth along with the new money problems for the US. Almost nothing about that tweet made sense, Nick, but I'm certainly glad that you shared it with us. Graham tweets, I'm not entirely happy with this government. Do you think I could get my money back? It's no, I think. Is it a no?
Yes.
It's a no. Gary says, I just looked up Eric Pickles and he looks like my thumb too. And Keith says, what's your favourite tongue twister? Well, unfortunately, Keith, I seem to be dying, but